here and watch me do a victory lap for blowing Destiny the fuck out, which I know is gonna rile up a lot of people. Because his followers are all over my Twitter right now. It's like hundreds of replies.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we're definitely gonna drive some traffic.
I open up Twitch, another tab. I already logged you in.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I don't know where Bloody Palace even is.
There it is.
Alright, I tweeted, I'm live right now on Twitch. Come watch me take a victory lap after blowing Destiny's asshole out in our debate.
Oh, excellent. Activate all the almonds.
Oh, yeah. Almonds?
Yeah. You ever heard activating the almonds?
No, what is that?
It's like getting you thinking. You're gonna activate those almonds.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. Alright. I'm betting you're excited to do this. What exactly? Are these just like arms?
Yeah, I guess it's just you can stock up on arms before you get going. But basically, it's just like a wave-based thing. They've had it since Devil May Cry 3.
I see.
You just beat the shit out of people and keep going, see how far you can go before you die. But apparently, there is an end to this.
DV the Master says, "Oh, Tom, you're okay? I was worried about you. Good. Are you okay? Would you qualify yourself as okay?"
I went to physical therapy today, and I was told that my disc herniation, now that they've seen the MRI and shit, is, quote, severe. Severe disc herniation. And they're like, you may have to get surgery, depending on how the next couple weeks go.
So what do you think's going to happen? Do you think you're going to be trapped in Massachusetts?
It seems more and more likely.
So where are you going to, like, are your parents going to let you move back in, or what?
Yeah, because I went to see them this weekend.
I figured that's probably
And they were like, yeah, considering the circumstances.
I just want to make sure that if I'm not taking you with me, you're left in good hands.
Oh, I wouldn't say good hands, but functional enough hands.
I mean, it's always possible that you could just come down later at some point, you know.
It's very true.
Because we were talking about that, like, whether or not, like, if we wanted to get a house that, like, had a room for you, it would probably cost a little more, and if you wanted to pay us, like, $100 or something a month in rent, then it would be like, we could just get a more expensive place that would have room for you. But if you can't even come because of your condition, then it's just like, well, but at the same time, maybe you can come later. You know, I don't know what the future holds, but, I don't know. We're just gonna get whatever is best. So I have no idea what's gonna be available once we go down there. But we're going down in 2 days, so you're gonna be on your own for the next Iron Games, I think.
Wah, wah.
I'm gonna spend all of Thursday driving down.
So, have fun with that. The drive grind is real.
Yep. Alright, we're up to 83 viewers. Good. That was quick. It went from 10 to 83 real fast.
Oh god. The salt mob is here.
Hey, it's Landonime, aka Butthole Weeb. He says, Digi, it's Landon. You fucking wrecked that dude. It was hilarious. Thank you. I'm glad you found it funny, because it seemed like most of my my patients just thought it was depressing. Like, even the ones who thought, like, everyone who thinks I won still was, like, depressed that they had to listen to it. Because it was... I mean, I warned everybody. I tweeted, like, do you want to come hear an obnoxious, pedantic argument about semantics? Because that's what I intend to have.
It was exactly what you advertised. That is what you said. I missed it, unfortunately. I was too busy watching Kakashi talk about getting in a swastika formation. I found that hilarious. I'm almost done, dude. I got like 15 more episodes to go.
Oh my god, that's it?
Well, each episode's like 90 minutes, so there's like 45 more like actual episodes. But
have you gotten into the Ninja War yet?
Yeah, we're in it right now.
How is that? Because that's where I hear a lot of people.
Yeah, everyone is saying like this is where it gets shit. So far, don't have a problem with it.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, it's just started, so it could get ass really fast. But I thought there was like a really fucking sick Kino fight scene in the Ninja War arc with Madara, but I could be wrong.
Opie Defender says, I think DigiNu going into that debate was basically unwinnable for either side. Yeah, I mean, all I wanted to do was prove my point. It's like, who wins or loses is always going to be in the eye of the beholder. I mean, like, most people think Destiny won his debate with Dick. You watched that debate. What did you think?
I mean, the whole thing is Destiny just keeps his calm for the most part, and if you're dumb, that just seems...
Dude, the funny thing is, he came at me really aggressive in our argument. Like, he right off the bat kept, like, writing off things I was saying. It's like, oh, what you said is just so stupid, I can't even think of how to argue with it. And I'm like, well, that sounds like you're the idiot. Like, what do you mean it's too stupid? Like, you're supposed to be good at this. Like, if it's so stupid, then just disprove it, you know?
I don't know if you saw in the chat, but what I said... after, because like I was watching that debate and it finished and I just had it in another tab and then it started auto-playing another debate Destiny did with Mr. Medicare, and since they both
I heard Mr.
argue
Medicare destroyed him
exactly the same way, it was just hilarious because they were both just being snide fucks going back and forth at each other.
Ohayou gozaimasu!
The legend lives.
The legend. Where can I hear the debate? I assume that he'll post it on his YouTube channel. Because he tends to post all his debates with people.
I dodged it like a fucking god.
So, you know, if... I hope he does. If not, I mean, the Twitch VOD will probably be... I don't know if he's still streaming, because that motherfucker streams for all goddamn day. He was streaming for hours before we even debated.
It's not that he streams for a long time, it's that we don't
stream for very long.
At all,
I understand. Well, he's mostly big on Twitch. He had like 2,500 viewers.
Wasn't he like a game dude for a while before like all this shit took off?
Apparently he was like a low-level MLG guy. He was playing StarCraft and like...
Shit, he outgames us.
Well, at those games. He was playing fucking Apex Legends when I was, before we went on.
Absolutely disgusting. Man, the whole game could just be this.
Well, it looks like our chat thinks Destiny got destroyed, so that's nice. I mean, if I go on Twitter, it's just it's just people telling me how retarded I am, but all of them are names I don't recognize. So it's like, well, this is probably Destiny's fan base.
Right. Clear Surgeon's Agent Blade Pass receive bonus red orbs. Okay.
Tom, are you more of a donut guy or a bagel guy?
Definitely more of a donut guy.
I'm more of a bagel guy.
They're both fantastic, though.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
I was recently... God, we've got over 217 viewers. People really want to hear us fucking... I tweeted out the main thing saying that I was going to talk about blowing Destiny the fuck out.
I will say, the reason I am a donut guy, just to get this out of the way, is that donuts are generally cheaper, and I'm very poor.
K Icey says, even Dick admitted that he lost. Dick admitted that he did a bad job. And I think that what he means is that he did a bad job of, like, conveying his point to people and making the case that he won, which is, you know, what Destiny would call losing, going by the debate I had with him. But, like, again, as I was saying in the debate with Destiny, I agree with the things Dick was saying about him. So, like, I didn't need to be convinced by Dick's argument because it was self-evident in the argument they were having. Like, Destiny was doing the thing that Dick was accusing him of, and Dick didn't know how to, like, quite put it into words. I mean, even a few times I think he did a good enough job explaining that I could see where he was coming from. I just understand why other people wouldn't have seen it that way, because here's how I put it, because the reason I wanted to have this debate is that I had a lot of comments on this video I did called, like, talking about hanging out with Dick Masterson, because I met him in LA last month and went on his show, and there were a bunch of comments that were like, oh, I've never seen the Dick show, but that guy is a moron, and all of them were citing his argument with Destiny. And so I listened to it, and I realized that if you go into that video not assuming Dick's intelligence, you would think he lost. If you go into it assuming that he's an intelligent person who maybe has a point, and then you try yourself to figure out what he's trying to say, then you will go, oh, okay, I see what you're saying because I see the evidence myself. I don't need it to be explained to me for me to come to the same conclusion, you know? So, like, maybe Destiny was... which I don't even think he was really arguing for anything. Like, it's impossible for me to consider Destiny to have won the debate because everything he said was fucking nonsense to me. Like, none of it proved any kind of point to me because there was no point to be proven. And that's kind of what we were arguing about, is that, like, I was using this example of, like, okay, if a flat earther is arguing with the guy who thinks the world is round, and the guy who thinks the world is round doesn't make a convincing argument, it doesn't affect the fact that I know he's correct, because I know the information. I know the truth. So the flat earther might put up a better argument, but I'm not going to get anything out of his argument because I already know that it's false. I already know that everything he's saying is bullshit. So it's not, I'm not going to come away going, wow, he argued super well. I'm going to come away going, wow, that guy is so fucking delusional, you know? And, like, for whatever reason, I couldn't communicate that to Destiny in a way that he would understand. I guess it's really easy to win debates when your argument, you can just decide that you did. I mean, that's all anyone's doing, is deciding who they think won. Like, everyone's coming away with doing the same thing. Destiny is deciding that he won based on the parameters by which he judges who wins a debate. I decide I won based on the parameters by which I judge who wins a debate. There is no truth. There's no arbiter, because there's no God telling us what the truth is, you know? It's only consensus. And sure, even if a majority of people came to the same conclusion about who won, that's only a consensus thing. It's not the truth. And, like, I don't even disagree with Destiny that 99.9% of the time I'm probably going to agree with the guy who made the better argument, because that guy's probably smarter than the other guy, you know? But, like, in the case of Dick versus Destiny, I don't feel that that I needed Dick to substantiate his claims for me to feel that he came off as the one who wasn't a fucking retard, you know? Protocol Charati says, I think the difference between yours and Destiny's concept of a good point might come down to if you say that someone has a good point or makes a good point. If someone has a good point, then the point is good, even if it's not well substantiated by himself, but if someone makes a good point, the point is well substantiated by himself. I made that argument in the thing, essentially, but, again, it really just comes down to, like, what do you want from a debate? Are you just judging it as though it were a school paper in the way that he kept insisting on? He kept bringing up school and how, like, you know, if a teacher sees that you, like, don't show your work, then they're going to give you a bad grade. And I'm like, well, yeah, in the context of a classroom, you should expect to get a bad grade if you don't justify yourself. But that doesn't mean that you didn't get the right answer, you know? We missed a sub. Oh, where? Shit, I can't go far enough up in the chat. I'm sorry, whoever subbed, shout out to you. To Warger, who says, no shit, dumbass, your dick suckers will always tell you that you won no matter what happens, Lamau. Well, no shit, so will his. Like, of course that's going to happen. That's why, that's kind of my fucking point. Freeze Store, subscribe to Twitch Prime. Shout out to you.
Hell yeah.
How's this Horde mode treating you, by the way?
It's great. It's the best part of the game condensed down. Just killing lots of shit as cool as possible.
By the way, anybody who thinks that I lost the debate with Destiny, if you want to go ahead and try to figure out how you can make the argument to me, you can. I invite it. I invite anybody to try and prove me wrong on anything I said there, because I don't know how you can be so retarded. What the hell is this guy saying? I'm a fan of both, and I'll say this. You both made your points, but the major point that he was making, which was that you were correct, but that it isn't applicable in every argument. As in an argument that there isn't a completely objective fact as truth, your premise doesn't work. That's all he was saying, and you disagreed to my... I don't remember him saying anything like that. I don't remember him ever saying that there was... like, that it depends on the type of argument that it is. He never said that. He just, I mean, he literally said that that a flat earther wins the argument if they make a better argument than the guy who is saying the truth. Like, that is the opposite of what you're saying that he said. Swagmaster Flex says, Dick is one of the dumbest people on the internet. Only people in echo chambers can actually think any good about him. I actually feel sorry for you that you cannot see this. I have to say, if you think Dick is legitimately a moron, I would love to know, like, what you think a smart person is, or, like, how... When I look at somebody, like, for their intelligence, it's not about whether, like, I you know, agree with the things they say or think they make good points. I ask myself, like, you know, God, I can't even explain it. There are things that Dick talks about that go over my head, you know? Like, I cannot abide the concept that he is an idiot. I'm not saying he doesn't say idiotic things sometimes, or believe idiotic things, but I can't look at somebody who has managed to be that consistently successful, that consistently capable of, like, high-level communication and of understanding as many advanced subjects as he does, and say that person's a moron. Like, that seems crazy to me. How do you feel? You know about Dick Masterson, right?
Yeah, I've watched all The Biggest Problem. I watched a bunch of The Dick Show.
Like, does Dick come off as a moron to you?
I don't think he's a moron. I think he's just... He has opinions that if you disagree with, like, his general political stance, you're going to think he's retarded. Because you already think those ideas are retarded. You know?
Right.
If you don't like libertarians, there's nothing about Dick that's going to make you think he's smart. Because you think his position on just life in general is retarded. You don't agree with it. So it doesn't matter how smart he is. He's like, well, he's saying this really dumb thing.
He himself isn't even a full... Like, he makes fun of libertarians, too, as well. It's really funny how, like, people will hear you say a certain thing, and then they immediately think they know why you feel that way. They think they know all your talking points. They think they know a bunch of other things about you. And that's why Destiny is so infuriating to me, is that he will make all those kinds of assumptions about people. And, like, okay, before I went in, he was, like, rewatching my rant, and he literally said on the stream, I already have in my head everything this guy could possibly say. And then I come in, and immediately he had, like, didn't see coming anything I was arguing. And when I held him accountable for that, he said, well, I just didn't expect anyone to say anything so stupid. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, you've proven my point that you don't know. You don't know what I really mean. Your attempts to read into what I'm saying are faulty, and that's why you're putting words in my mouth, and why I don't, why you reframing my argument is a shitty debate tactic, because you don't know what I really mean. And that's proven by the conversation we're having. So, that was the point I came in to make, and I think I made it exceedingly well, considering that he kept doing it the whole fucking time. I gotta get caught up in the chat. It's moving way too fast.
How many viewers are we up to right now?
We're at 233.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I guess we need to change I Am Games to just being debates with people. Bring it back. We're gonna go back to Digi versus everybody.
Why is there an echo on Destiny's audio? Is he a literal echo chamber?
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
pretty funny. I don't know why. I didn't notice it. But I was only known through Discord, so... Isn't this Dick guy a legit scientist or something? No.
What?
Dick is not a scientist. He works in advertising. He's a marketing guy for a whole... He runs like a contract marketing firm that works with a whole bunch of like major corporations and shit.
A lot of things about Dick make more sense in that context.
Oh yeah. Did you hear any of the stories about like things that I found out he used to do?
No.
Apparently in like I think the real early 2000s, he had like a server farm at his house or something like that, and he had started up a download site, like file download site, except that it didn't have any actual files. It was just like false links that lead to ads, and he was making like a ridiculous amount of money. This is back when ads meant something on the internet, and like it was all the ones where you have to like type in an answer,
Right.
So like those are like the ads that are worth the most money, and he would just say he had a file and then not have it, and so like he couldn't get into any trouble. But eventually the advertisers pulled out because nobody was actually buying anything, based on the ads. But he made a fuckload of money for like a couple of years that way.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's a kind of...
How can you call that guy an idiot?
Right, I was going to say, that's a kind of,
making
smarts.
like thousands of dollars like a day for nothing.
Internet street smarts right there.
Mm-hmm. Fucking crazy. I actually, in retrospect, was not sure why he told me that he had a server and how that was relevant to the story if he wasn't hosting the files. Maybe he was at first and stopped. I don't even know. But, yeah. And which, I mean, even the advertisers pulling out of that, I don't think that had anything to do with the fact that he had fake files. That's just what happened on the internet, is that it used to be that ads were worth something, and then they all realized that internet ads don't work, and that's why they're worth jack shit now. Anime Fly says, Destiny was not saying that he is 100% correct if he picks the side of the flat earthers. He is saying that he could argue for that side better than you can for round earthers. Like if someone somewhere honestly didn't know the shape of the earth, they would then think it's flat because Destiny could easily give a convincing argument while you just say it's the truth, so believe it. Sure. That's, I mean, yeah, no shit. Like, I'm not saying that most people are going to come away from an argument thinking that you won just because you said the truth. I'm only saying that I will come away from the argument thinking that the guy who said the thing I know is true is right. And that you cannot tell me that that means something different from thinking that, from like them winning, if I think so, because there is no winning. There's only what is in the eye of the beholder. This is like basic philosophy that I don't know how to make people understand this, because everybody wants to apply it to something. Everybody wants to to like make it a one size fits all. Oh, this is every situation. No, we're talking about philosophical ideas here, you know, and you have to be a fucking idiot. God, there's so much fucking chat.
Well, I guess we invited this on ourselves.
Yeah. Digi, help, my libido is too high. I want to reduce my sex drive. What should I do?
Get laid.
I mean, maybe he is getting laid. He didn't say that he wasn't.
Threesome time. Got off the ante a bit.
I don't know, man. You just wait till you're older, your libido will go down. Enjoy it while it lasts. Get as much out of it as you can.
I like how my natural assumption was our target audience clearly isn't getting laid.
I mean, you might be right. He might have been saying it's too high, and that's like the fact that he can't have sex is the problem. I don't know how to help you because I have a really crazy, out of control libido myself. So.
You, buddy.
Digi, do you have your own opinions too, or do you just get everything from reactionaries? I don't get anything from anyone. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. When have you ever heard me express an opinion that was something a reactionary said? Like... How can you call someone who makes money an idiot? No, that's not what I said. I said, how can you call somebody who makes thousands of dollars a day for nothing an idiot? So by what metric am I judging who won the debate? I just decided I won, and so... therefore I did, in my own mind. You are free to think whatever you want, but I'm obviously not going to say that I lost when I think I won. If I had thought I lost, I would say so. Do you honestly believe you're more well-versed in philosophy than Destiny is? Seriously? I do. I see no reason or evidence to believe otherwise, considering how fucking moronic he came off. He obviously doesn't disagree with the idea that everyone decides on their own who wins in a debate. Anyone can do whatever they want. He said as much. He was arguing that there are better ways of analyzing who wins a debate for the good of society at large. If that had been his argument, I would have agreed with him. In fact, I think I did state as much in the video. That is not the argument he made. That's you doing what he does. Like, trying to, you know, justify what he's saying by thinking past it, you know? Like going, oh, well... clearly, this is what he meant. No, that's not what he said. If it was, then this wouldn't be the argument that happened. Because I completely agree, it's a better way to argue. Like, no shit. Isn't the point of a debate to convince the most amount of people to come to your side? Though Twitch debates are dumb because there will always be fan bias, and the only way to truly win a debate is to have a set of neutral judges to pick who wins afterwards. I agree with that last part. I don't think it's necessarily that the point is to convince as many people as possible. That's not what I went into the debate trying to do. I just went in trying to hear Destiny say the words I wanted him to hear, which I did. Because I think that it would be self-evident to anyone whom I would consider intelligent that he was a moron. whether or not that is the majority of people, it doesn't matter. But like, yes, if we went into a debate with the conceit that like, okay, this is a debate with a judge who is going to determine who wins or who loses, then yes, whoever wins or loses would be whoever the judge said wins or loses, because that is what we've agreed is the standard we're going by, you know? That's how it works in the court of law. It's like, whether or not I think someone's innocent or guilty, ultimately whatever the judge says is what was decided, you know? And sometimes that's not even the truth. Sometimes what they decide on is the wrong judgment. And, you know, it's important that we recognize that there is no human arbiter who is infallible enough to actually make a judgment on who wins or loses in anything. I keep forgetting. I need to watch, because apparently Dick did get his revenge on Destiny on the kill stream.
Right.
I haven't watched that one yet. I don't know much about the kill stream. It seems much like Destiny, more political than something I'd want to watch. It's really funny that like people who don't know about Dick think about him as a political guy because they watch political people and hear him talk politics, when on his show he tries to avoid politics as much as possible, and his politics have nothing to do with why I like him at all. Like, there was a bunch of Destiny fans before this debate who kept saying like, oh, of course a right-winger would think this. I'm like, I'm not a right-winger. Neither is Dick, but I'm not a right-winger, you know?
Well, the modern left seems to think anyone who doesn't, like, think everything they do to a T is a right-winger.
Dude,
so.
I took a bunch of these, like, after that happened, I took a bunch of political compass quizzes and posted them, and I had people who were like, ugh, your position is disgusting. And I'm like, what position? Being in the middle? Like, having no extreme opinions? Like, that's now disgusting? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the position of the radical left is that centrism is what leads to fascism. So you're actually a fascist. Fun fact.
Like, it's really funny, like, to see somebody, like, saying, like, I am an extremist, and it's wrong to not be an extremist.
That's
like,
the point. That's exactly... There was a whole thing, God, who was it?
People are fucking exhausting.
H-Bomber guy made a big tweet saying about that. I'm sure you heard about that.
No, I did not.
Oh yeah, he made this whole big tweet that, like, blew up in his face about, like, how, you have to be an extremist. There's no middle ground. You have to choose one side or the other and be as hardcore about it as possible. That's, like, the morally right thing to do.
What a fucking asshole.
Yeah. It was interesting. Oh my god.
We got a sub from Ethanol Juice with Twitch Prime. Who says, hello, senpai. Hello. See, once again, this is another person. Okay, Swag Masterflex says, Digi got hard ass whooping and it was actually painful to watch. It was about what makes a point good. Destiny's take was that building up true premises leading to a conclusion is what decides the debate. Digi says what a person thinks is true beforehand determines the debate. I never said anything like that. That is how he attempted to frame what I was saying, which is incorrect, and it is not what I believe. If you came away thinking that, you are retarded. You are a fucking moron. You are an idiot. I never made those claims. In fact, as I've said many times, I think, for the most part, I would come away from most debates thinking that the guy who argued better was the winner. I'm just saying that that is not inherently what makes a point good. It is not inherent that you made the better point because you argued better if your point is wrong. And I'm not saying wrong as in I think it's wrong. I'm saying wrong as in it is wrong, by way of whatever data does exist out there, regardless of what you brought to the table. That can't be difficult to understand. Fucking idiots. Anime Fly says, the point is that if you know for a fact that what you're saying is 100% true, then you have no excuse for not being able to explain yourself with valid arguments. If you're bad at debating like Dick is, then don't enter a live debate. That's more fair. I think Dick didn't know what kind of debate he was getting himself into because I don't think he knew anything about Destiny, going by the things he was saying on the show, where he kept going like, oh, okay, now I understand how this is. Now I know why people hate you so much, because, like, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a normal way to debate that Destiny does things. But, you know, you can say you have no excuse but this. Like, again, I don't even disagree with, like, what Destiny thinks is a good way to debate. Like, I just disagree with the idea that there's anything, like, inherent about it, you know? Like, this is, again, why this is a extremely pedantic, extremely semantic debate, which is what I intended it to be, because I really think that choosing your words carefully is extremely paramount. I think that the only way you're going to get effective communication is if everybody is using the most exacting words possible and responding to the words said, not trying to take those words and, you know, create a different meaning out of it because you don't know what that person is thinking beyond what they're telling you. You can't just try to mind read and make assumptions about them, you know? And to do that is to suggest that you just think you're smarter than they are, which I accuse Destiny of, and he of course insisted he doesn't think that he just thinks he's, you know, better at framing people's arguments than they are. But it's like, you don't know you can't fucking read their minds. Just respond to what is said. You should be able to do that. That should be enough to win the debate. You don't have to make shit up about what the other person said in order to win. The Spastic Surgeon subscribed to Twitch Prime. Shout out. I gotta get, like, it's really difficult to follow the chat when I'm responding to something and then I don't know what the people are responding to what I said. Someone's saying maximum damage control. I don't see any damage control going on here. I'm making the same statements I made in the actual debate. I have not changed any stance. I have not argued any differently. I've said the same things. I stand by everything I said and have continued to say. If you think that's damage control, then you are retarded. Tome, start talking about communism.
It's bad. Don't listen. Don't believe the hype.
Agreed.
Oh god, I thought he was dead. I just fucking took a huge shot to the face. Oh Jesus, I'm not dead. This might be the end of the line.
Destiny mentioned that he wished he would have asked if you were a nihilist. I think that could have been an interesting conversation. I'm pretty much a nihilist. Why? Is he pro or anti-nihilism? I'm a nihilist. I believe in nothing. How do you determine something factually without arguing it with substance? We don't just come to factual conclusions, it's the process, and if someone doesn't value the process, then why should you value the end result? Well, assumably, you've heard someone else make the argument. Like, that was kind of my point. It's not that I just believe people because I think they're, like, correct for no reason. I have a reason why I think they're correct. I've heard it substantiated elsewhere. But just because it's not substantiated in the context of where I'm hearing it doesn't mean that I haven't already received substantiation from another context. I'm just gonna catch up and I'm just gonna read the chat that's actually current. It's too much shit. Ogpest says, so you're saying you don't need to substantiate points that others already have? What if most of the audience hasn't heard the argument? Then they probably won't agree with you. They'll probably think you lost, as happened to Dick in that episode. There you go. I mean, like, what? I never even said anything that would not mean that. You said before that the person doesn't need to know that the argument has been substantiated or not. I mean, nobody has to do anything to determine what they think is correct. Like, most people will want to have something substantiated before they believe it. But, you know, a lot of people will just believe whatever, regardless. How about a follow-up where you substantiate Dick's claims? I considered something like that, but the thing is that I'm just not interested in, like, that argument as it went. Like, you know, it would have to have been... The problem with it is that, like, I agree with the very first thing Dick said. Like, how he thinks that Destiny argues in this way where he talks past a person's point. And then I think he immediately did that in that conversation, and then everything beyond that point was fucking worthless. It was all just recursive horse shit that was all escaping from the point that was trying to be made, which is the same thing that happened in my debate, where, like, I came in and I said, I think you put words in people's mouths. That was the argument I wanted to have. Somehow he took this on an entire whirlwind through the world of the definition of the word substantiated, and I'm like, the point is that you put words in people's mouths, you know? Like, that has nothing to do with the relevance of this argument. And it took, like, literally 30 minutes to even get back to that point. And he never even really wanted to argue about it. Like, he kept trying to argue about other things because I think he was more comfortable arguing those other things. Because he has no legs to stand on in the argument that he puts words in people's mouths. No one talking about Tom's great gameplay, and then a holding head emoji. Are you doing really amazingly or something?
I don't think so.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I don't know the game well enough.
The problem is I don't know what's, like, decent gameplay at this, just because I've seen myself play these games and, like, the best people in the world. So I'm like, I don't know what
Oh shit, it still says we're playing Nier Automata.
Oh, dude, I'm such a good Nier Automata player. Top tier for sure.
Incidentally, we were just going to play the 2 PCP dating sims on today's show, but I was like, oh, you can try out this Horde mode that you've been wanting to play while I answer people about the Destiny debate, but it's just become the debate again. Because people still don't get it. And are just repeating the same shit that he said.
Well, once again, I think you do that going. Right? Like, we invited this entire thing.
Yeah.
We baited the hook, and people jumped on it as we knew they would. What's sensitive in this game? Can't even see what's going on anymore. Why can't I hit him? Oh, he's outside of the bounds. That's why. They clip through walls. There's just no walls to clip through here. Hell yeah, you can go.
PowerCore 2000 says, why wouldn't you give the substantiation in your debate? It seems to be inherently more helpful and productive at sharing ideas and information than just taking people at their word. Yeah, no shit. Agreed. Nobody has ever made the argument that it would be a better idea to not substantiate what you're saying.
There's a difference between who's making a better argument and who is speaking the truth.
Right.
You know, like, if you're, again, to go back to the Flat Earth example, if someone is making a ton of quote-unquote points, they're technically arguing better than someone who's making no points other than this is the truth.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the fact that the world's still fucking around.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, we got down, at the end of the debate with Destiny, we got down to the bedrock of, like, what I called the hair that we are splitting, where he said, I think that if you make the better points, you won the debate. And I said, I think if you are correct, you won the debate. But that is just our personal philosophies. Neither one is true. So if you come away from that debate agreeing with me that just because a flat earther makes a whole lot of points doesn't mean that he's correct or should be taken seriously or that I should come away feeling that he won, then you are on my side. If you feel that you should come away from that debate saying that flat earther won that debate, then you're on Destiny's side. That is all of our disagreement. That is the entire thing. It has nothing to do with how we think people should argue. It has nothing to do with what we think you should think is the winner of the debate. It's that I think whoever is correct is the winner, and that's who I'm going to side with. How do I know they're correct? Because I have heard the argument substantiated, whether it was by them or not. I already know that the argument is substantiated. If I don't know, and I go into the debate, and one guy argues better than the other guy, I'll probably agree with the guy who argued better. I'll probably think that guy won, and that I agree with him, because chances are I'm going to come away thinking that the things he said were factual. But this is not always the case, and sometimes someone can make a whole lot of points, but I already know that those points are infactual, and so I'm not going to come away feeling that they won if I already know that they are wrong. That is the argument. Does everybody understand that? Are we all on the same page? Does anybody have a problem with this? I'm going to catch up on the chat. Now everybody can tell me if they understand what the fuck is going on here. Oh, jeez, it's going so fucking fast. I should make a flow chart. I should. Your version of determining a good point is fringe and not useful IMO. I mean, I've given you examples of how it can be useful, such as in a flat earth debate. Like, if you come away from it thinking, oh, that flat earther had a lot of good points, then you're a fucking moron. You know? And I feel that that the level of the Dick versus Destiny debate, to me, is on that same level. That if you come away from that thinking that Destiny made a lot of good points, you're a fucking moron. And that's just how I feel, based on what I observe, and based on my set of knowledge. I don't want to debate him on Dick's points because I don't care about Dick's points, other than the main one that Destiny basically... I basically had the same debate. Dick basically said you put words in people's mouths and obstruct the argument, and that's exactly what I accused him of. So, if anything, I feel like we did have the same argument. I just didn't let myself get pulled off into some fucking Trump bullshit, because I don't give a fuck. A debate is literally an argument between two people where they test their ideas. If one of them fails to support their ideas and the other person succeeds, they lost the debate, even if they're correct. That is your opinion. I don't think Destiny would disagree with that, though. He did in the fucking discussion we had. He completely disagreed with the thing I just said. It sounded like you said a point can be good without being logically valid if the conclusion is correct. Well, what is the difference between correct and logically valid? I don't know what you're trying to say. I definitely didn't say that because you just said the same thing twice.
Well, I mean, in logic, there's like, you know, you have like syllogisms, and the way you write them is you have to basically show, you have to, it's a proof. You have to like prove that your point is correct.
Right.
So,
I mean, but for a point to be correct, it must be logically valid.
Right? If you, for a point to be sound, like logically, it has to meet certain criteria.
Right.
I think the problem is that, like, there's just, like you said, everybody's on two different pages with this. You know, people, you have to first identify, do you care more about the debate process or the end result? You're arguing for the end result here. That like
Yes.
like you're the kind of person that when you're in school and they say show your work, you say fuck you. I
Dude,
already
it
know
made
the
me so
answer.
fucking mad. It would
Right.
always make me so fucking mad. I'm like, but I gave you the right answer. Who cares about my fucking work?
And that's
I can do it in my head. I don't want to have to fucking write it down 18 goddamn times.
But
I already know how to do the equation.
Right, but you need the proof, right? Which is always pissed me off too. It's like
Because the proof is irrelevant to the fact that it's true. Like, I mean, the proof is, in order to know for a fact that it is true, you need the proof. But, like, the fact that it's true doesn't change by proving it, you know? Mm-hmm. And, like, there's nothing that is true that can't be proven. So there's no difference between something being logically valid and correct, because anything that is correct is logically validatable, you know?
Sure, I agree.
That's why I was like, what are you fucking talking about?
I would say in a debate, I think showing your work, quote unquote, is valuable just so people who don't know your point can understand it or understand where you're coming from. So. Oh dear.
People keep are yelling things at me that are the thing I was saying as though it was not the thing I was saying. Like, I literally just said that anything that is true can be proven to be true, and people are screaming at me, theories and facts need proofs to prove them. I'm like, okay, like, is that different from what I just said? By the way, Dick is friend with Nazis, just so you know. There is no such thing as Nazis in the 21st century. The Nazi Party was a political party in Germany in the 40s. It is not a party that exists anymore. There are people who maybe have the same ideologies as Nazis, or maybe self-identify as Nazis. They're not Nazis. They're neo-Nazis. Dick is a fucking neo-Nazi, alt-right, white supremacist. I hope you're joking.
I don't understand how you could be at all familiar with Dick's work and think he's in any way racially motivated.
Or even, like...
Politically motivated.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Based 909 says, in that flat earth example, wouldn't it make more sense to say that you agree with the round earther, but the flat earther won the debate, since the flat earther made better arguments? There are no better arguments to be made for flat earth. Like, it doesn't matter what he says, it's incorrect, so it's not a good... there is no good proof for that. If I go into it knowing that everything the guy is saying is retarded, then, like, I'm not going to say he won the debate. Doesn't that seem asinine? Am I wrong here? Like,
I just think...
it's not that I don't understand why you're saying that. Like, if somebody told me...
I mean, they debated better. Like, if the point of a debate is to make a claim, to substantiate it, to, convince people, if you're making, you know, if you're speaking half-truths that sound good and your opponent is doing nothing but saying one thing over and over again, then you are debating better, even though you're using, you know,
but would you
essentially
consider that person
sophistry.
to have won? Like, would you come away from that feeling like, oh, that guy won the debate because he said a bunch of bullshit better than the other guy said nothing? Or just stated the truth? Like, I understand coming away with that feeling, but that's not how I would feel. And I don't even think it's invalid for you to come away with that feeling. It's just not the one I would come away with.
Sure.
You know? Like, I've never argued that it's invalid for you to think that whoever argued better was the winner.
I
just don't think that.
The example that you're choosing does make it easier to see your side of the equation.
Well, that's why I made the example.
Right. But if you're talking about something that's more not as easily black and white,
Yeah.
then, you know, showing your work does become more important.
Because you have to remember that the only reason this example exists is because I was trying to prove the point that that just because I didn't think that Dick substantiated his claims doesn't mean that I think he didn't have valid arguments. That, like, I think his arguments are valid because I know they are true, and therefore they are, you know, it's like I know that the guy who's saying that the Earth is flat is valid because I know that that's, or the guy who says the Earth is round is valid because I know that's true, you know? The other guy's points, however well argued, are not valid because I know that they are untrue. So, like, that's the only reason for this argument. If people keep trying to make it something it's not, you know? It's like, this isn't about applying this to all arguments. It's about this specific case where he twisted my words around, you know? Because of this misunderstanding where he thinks that... Because what his response to me was, oh, so you think that Dick floundered and made no valid points. No, I didn't say that. I just said he didn't substantiate them. Doesn't mean he floundered, doesn't mean they were invalid. Just means they weren't substantiated. I don't think there's any way we can make this point clearer, so I'm done talking about it.
How about them video games?
In the off chance that you don't actually know, the Nazi comment you made is literally a Nazi talking point. The previous comment on not being a right-winger has been weakened once again. I mean, of course it's going to be a talking point they're going to use because it's factual. But, like, that doesn't... I'm not allying with them by saying that. Like, I
All
obviously...
I'm saying is the Nazi party doesn't exist.
Yeah,
the Nazi ideas clearly still do.
Yeah, like, they clearly agree with the ideologies. I just think it's... I think it's very inauthentic of people to call them Nazis. It's like, okay, they are not responsible for gassing the Jews. So let's not act like they have all the sins of the fucking Nazis on their back just because that they have stupid beliefs, you know?
Sure.
Like, because when people go around and justify, like, you know, harming, like, committing violence to people over their ideologies, over the fact that, oh, well, it's a Nazi ideology. Yeah, but they didn't do the Nazi thing. They are not Nazis. Like, they are just stupid people. And you should treat them as stupid people, you know? Not as, like, heinous war criminals.
They're not Nazis. They're Nazis, if you get my drift. But, doesn't change the fact that they're retarded, wrong, and pretty, shitty. Oh dear. Using this laser is very satisfying.
Not using Nazis' preferred pronouns in 2019. That's pretty funny. Let's hear them out because they haven't gassed Jews. They just want to and would advocate it in modern times. I mean, I'm not saying hear them out.
Right.
I'm just saying don't, like...
It's just making a distinction.
Yeah. Let's just not, like, let's not call them... Let's not ascribe to people something that is you know, that is like worse than what they have actually done. Not to say that what they've done isn't bad, it's really bad. Like, believing Nazi ideologies is bad, but it doesn't mean that you have, you know, that you deserve the connotations that come from, I mean, a lot of people will willingly ally themselves with it, so, I mean, I guess if you want to be called a Nazi, then you should be, but, like, I just don't agree with the way people throw that word around. Do you think it's unfair to call people who literally want to gas Jews today Nazis? I mean, again, if they like want, I guess if they're calling themselves Nazis, go ahead and call them that. But like, there's a lot of people who want to do a lot of violent things they haven't done. It's like saying, do you think that somebody who wants to kill their obnoxious coworker is a murderer? No. Unless they've murdered someone, they're not a murderer.
I mean, you just call those people neo-Nazis, which is what they are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, this is another, like, semantic argument that the distinction isn't hugely important.
When we say something like neo-Nazi, I imagine some dipshit skinhead in prison somewhere who has a lot of racist beliefs, but he's in prison, or you know, there's guys out there who, yeah, maybe they're being assholes to people on the streets, but like when we say Nazi, I'm thinking, you know, the Nazis, and what they've done was a lot fucking worse than having racist beliefs, you know? Sure. Believing that something is okay is not the same as participating in making it happen. I'm not about this whole thought crime bullshit. This guy keeps saying, what is the correct you keep appealing to? Don't you not believe in objective truth? Let me pull up this quote. Well, just say true is something that we use to describe beliefs that we've justified. You know? It's not that there is an objective truth. There is merely something that we can justify considering to be true.
I'll call it objective truth.
Someone's claiming that Dick cozied up to Richard Spencer. I've never seen anything such as this, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Citation.
Yeah, citation needed.
Not even as a cheeky response, but like legitimately.
Yeah. The problem is that saying thinking is different than doing, while true sounds like you're advocating for neo-Nazis and people just run with that. If you think it sounds that way, then you are the reason that I had this debate with Destiny. That people think that just because you say something, they can fill in the blanks and now they have your ideology. No, never said anything beyond what I said, and if you assume anything more than what I've said, you are retarded. That is my whole point. Whole point. Everybody wants to be thought police. Dick is friends with Nick Fuentes, who is in the alt-right. I mean, I don't see how that makes him alt-right. I'm friends with Ben Saint, who is a like apparently now a far-flung liberal or whatever. I don't doesn't mean I agree with his politics. We're just friends. Apparently, according to this Nick Fuentes character, whom I've never heard of, he says that he's not alt-right. So, whatever. Oh yeah, there was a part in the debate where I said something and Destiny was like, what level of math have you completed? Like, have you even done like any high level math? Because like what you're saying would be bullshit in math. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What does that
Why are
mean?
you asking me about math?
What was the point you were making that brought this up?
I don't remember. It was just really funny that he literally like asked what level of math I had done in school, and I was like,
I'm just curious to see what context that would matter.
have you seen the ContraPoints video on the alt-right? I don't think I've seen that one. Can Tom talk about Naruto?
It's fucking great. I unironically love Naruto Kai. I've been enjoying it immensely. And I'm hyped to finish it. It's getting close.
Liberal is an ideology that is not leftist. The right just thinks that is the left. If you care about calling people what they identify as, don't call leftists liberal. Well, I don't care about calling people what they identify as, but I guess, is that true? Is leftist and liberal not? Are there not a?
I mean, they're
Certainly
technically
there's
synonymous, but
I mean,
there's.
According to the political tests I took, I am a liberal, and they put me like the one I took that put me just right of center said I was a liberal. So I was like, all right.
It's technically they're like the same thing, but there are people who consider themselves classical liberals, and even people on the right that use like Ben Shapiro as an example, someone who would say there's a difference between a leftist and a liberal. Is a leftist is the crazy person.
On top of that, neoliberal and neoconservative.
Oh God.
It's a lot of, again, more semantic things that are kind of just like it's entered the political vernacular, but isn't like in an actual definition anywhere.
By the way, Sekiro is dope.
Okay.
And
You've been playing it still?
yeah, and like what's crazy about it is that it is so open-ended that there came a point where I was stuck on 7 different bosses and like 8 different mini bosses all at the same time.
Jesus Christ.
Because like every time I would get stuck on a boss, I'd be like, okay, I feel underpowered for this. Let me run back through the world and like just, you know, see what else I missed and grind for a little bit, and then I'd find like a whole other level.
I didn't realize there were that many options.
Oh, there's a lot. It's a lot of options. Like I finally beat Lady Butterfly, but only after I had like gone and done all this other shit and like leveled up significantly and come back and kicked her ass. Basically, I would say that if you fight a boss and you consistently can't get them down to like even half their bar on the first life, don't bother fighting them yet. Just go do other shit and come back when you're stronger. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like, it's really either well hidden or just like, you might see something that you don't think to go over there, and then, like, for instance, at the main castle when I went up to fight that one boss who was like the big. He's actually who I'm currently trying to beat, but like on the way up, if you were to jump off the tower, there's like a lake over to the left, and like going over there is like a whole other area, and it's like you wouldn't think to do it because it's not obvious, you know.
Right.
But like if you just investigate every possible spot you can, then you'll find your way into all these other pathways. It's pretty fucking sick.
Fuck. Oh my fucking god.
You have a transphobe in your chat. I assume you won't do anything about it. I mean, I don't even know where the fuck they are. This chat is going fucking crazy right now. And also, no, I probably won't do anything about it because I don't give a shit. If someone's retarded, you should look at it and say, wow, that guy's retarded. Let me proceed to ignore them. And I'm pretty sure you can block other users on Twitch if you don't want to see what they're saying. But, I mean, if I found somebody saying something I... you know, didn't like in my chat, I would certainly accost them. Admit you're a conservative? I'm the exact opposite of a conservative, buddy. I don't know. I don't know where these people come from.
I'm probably more conservative than you are.
You're way more conservative than I am. Both of you are, because you came from conservative households. I came from a very anti-conservative household. This guy keeps trying to link us dick cozying up to Richard Spencer, but the link is not going through because it's a Twitch chat and you can't post links. You might want to send this somewhere else.
You can put it in the Discord.
Go to the I Am Games Discord. It's right in the description. Not that I necessarily want to send all these fuckers into our Discord. That I'm sure they're not going to enjoy that. The guys who are in there, I mean.
They made it through the Endless War raid. I'm sure they can make it through Destiny.
This guy says, nice, you're okay with transphobia being spread in your chat. It doesn't spread just because somebody is transphobic. Like, the fact that they said something transphobic does not mean that it is spreading through my chat. It's not a virus.
Person who is complaining about this, do you feel transphobic now?
Do you feel transphobic now after hearing that? Sounds like you don't, so...
It's not... I mean, yeah, there are people saying things, but you don't have to believe what people say. You don't have to listen to what people say. You know?
Yeah.
This whole thing of, like, platforming people is insane. Like, you think people are so stupid, and it's really sad. You know? Yeah. Like, I just don't like that position of saying, like, we have to block all these things that are scary because people are so dumb, if they even see something in a chat, they will magically become evil.
To Mock Rabbit, who says, Digi, where are all these people coming from? Also, Digi, come watch me take a victory lap after blowing Destiny's out. Hold on. I didn't mean where are they coming from to this chat. I meant where do these people come from? Like, what developmental disorder leads to this level of retardation is what I want to know. How do you feel after doing all those rants? Was it worth it? It was definitely worth it. It's not something I intend to do on the level I do it forever, but like the amount of money I make for the amount of work is absolutely astonishing, and I need that money because I'm about to move, so yeah. Raven is Love says, brainlet tier comment. Great argument. By the way, let us be perfectly clear that not only is like a bulk of my audience trans, and am I extremely pro-trans, but I also identify as trans. So you can fuck off with any attempt to accuse this of being a transphobic show in any way. I will fucking destroy you. Tom, what's your favorite Dante weapon?
Damn. Like, I'm assuming besides, like, main swords and stuff. I really liked Alistair in Devil May Cry 1. That was fun. Like, the lightning sword was cool. I guess I gotta go with Sword of Sparta. It was just fucking so fucking cool looking. And, frankly, I can turn into a scythe and all this crazy shit. I'm kind of upset that they've replaced it with the sword that you have in this game now. Even though storyline-wise it was pretty cool. Oh Jesus, there's a bunch of dudes everywhere.
Raven is Love says, I don't need to substantiate my argument, remember? Okay, well, I mean, I didn't say that you have to substantiate it in order to think that you are correct, but certainly if you don't substantiate it to me, I'm not going to think you're correct because I know you're wrong. That's the point of my argument, you fucking retard. How many times do I have to repeat myself? But he says he will. If you don't believe comments people make can influence others, yes, including Twitch chat, then you're literally anti-science. Never said it couldn't influence others. Never said anything like that. Trans people can be transphobic, by the way, so that was a dumb comment. I think you're a transphobe for saying that I'm transphobic when I identify as trans. So there you go. Fuck you. Go commit die. Saber Chad subscribe to Twitch Prime.
Sick. Approved. Oh, sad face. D for dick.
There is a guy in here who seems like he's acting kind of transphobic, though. I will say that. I think I found him.
Well, disavow, disavow.
Tom, have you beaten SOS? Because you'll unlock a skill called Irregular Full Custom.
I'm not beating Son of Sparta. I haven't tried for a while. I probably shouldn't be trying to beat Son of Sparta and doing a no gold orb run at the same time, just making it infinitely more difficult. So I'm stuck on the final boss, but maybe someday.
Well, apparently Destiny had dick pics leaked. How does that happen?
I want.
You don't want. I don't want. And I know if you get them, I'm going to end up seeing them. Do not want.
That seems unfortunate.
Oh my god. DM them to me on Twitter, please.
That would have been good ammo to have going into that debate.
I mean, the guy says he has the pics. If you, I don't want to fucking see his fucking dick.
I mean, just
His little shriveled dick.
Just saying that it was out there would be a good way to derail when he tries to derail. Not the most genuine debate tactic, but hey, when in Rome. fuck?
Alright, this guy keeps saying here's Dick. He's found a way to make the link to the Dick Masterson thing, but it's like a video, and I'm kind of in the middle of a stream. It also is just like an out of context clip from some thing, so I don't know. I know Dick, and I know that he will cozy up to literally anybody if he wants them to come on his show. So I'm going to probably guess that that's what it was, is him trying to get this guy to come on his show. Which is something I don't necessarily agree with. I do think... I think... I admire that Dick is willing to offer a platform to people who seem insane to other people. But, like, I think that he doesn't do enough to challenge people on their beliefs, you know? Like, he'll basically just play nice with people to keep them around. I mean, yeah, Kiwi Chris is a perfect example where he's started to be harsher on Kiwi Chris because he keeps coming back, and it's clear that he can. But yeah, like, he'll bring people on the show and who he clearly thinks are like lolcows or that he thinks are insane, and he won't argue against them because he wants them to keep coming back, you know? Which I don't necessarily agree with that tactic. That's what Jesse's big problem with Dick is. So yeah, I'm not here defending everything Dick Masterson does. It's been 6 months since you changed your branding for this channel, and you still don't use BTTV or FrankerFaceZ. Why? Never heard of any of those things.
I don't know. No fucking clue what that
Yeah,
means.
I have no idea what either of those things are.
Stop speaking Chinese. I don't understand what you're saying. It's a foreign tongue to me. Link it in the Discord, @message me. I'll take a look at it, because if anyone's going to implement crazy shit, it's going to be me.
Explain back. Maker XI says it's homophobic that you don't want to see his dick.
Well,
with a copper face.
Destroyed.
Stumblereel says, after following you two for so long, I gotta say y'all are emotionally resilient as fuck. You have to be to do this job. Like, if you get into this, if you try to do the kinds of things that I do and you're not emotionally resilient, you're going to rue your life.
You're in for a bad time.
And you think wanting to have a Nazi on your show is okay? Absolutely. You should want to have every perspective so we can understand it. If you never listen to what a Nazi has to say, you're not going to understand why it's happening so that you can do something about it. Like, if you can't make those people disappear. You can't go and just, like, say, oh, these people are wrong, so let's just push them off into the corner. And then meanwhile, while they're over there in the corner, they're going to convert a bunch of people to their ideology because you seem like a closed-minded fuck. You need to know your enemy.
I don't even you need to know, I mean, which is true, you need to know your enemy, but not only that, the best way to get people to stop listening to shit like that is to publicly show why it's stupid,
Yeah.
right? The whole sunlight is the best disinfectant, which is true.
Someone keeps linking my Encyclopedia Dramatica page. I don't know if anything's been added to it.
I checked it.
Oh. Well, then why is this guy linking
Unless
it?
today they added it.
Yeah, unless they added something literally today.
Oh.
You can read about what they have to say. You don't have to platform them, dumb fuck. Literally, what the hell is the difference? Reading is a platform. If they have a book, that is a platform. What do you mean?
Somebody had to allow them to publish.
I don't know, like, if you're acting so afraid of a certain ideology, you're just giving it more power.
You're giving it way more power.
You know, if you
should be laughing at it. You should be talking about how stupid it is.
You should be treating Nazis the same way you treat flat earthers. Yeah, let's talk about how retarded they are.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
If we treated neo-Nazis like we treat flat earthers, they wouldn't have nearly as much pull as they do right now.
I'm gonna ban this guy who keeps repeating the same fucking... Like, it's not just that he keeps repeating himself, but he posts it like 6 times per post. His name was Hateful Moron, so...
Well...
no regrets there.
Living up to his name, I suppose. Or just a burner account for this or something. Oh dear.
Lauren Malvo says, that's a dumb as hell argument. Flat earthers don't want to incite a race war, Tommy. Talking to someone about their ideology is not going to make them, like, propagate it inherently.
Well, counterpoint to that is, yeah, and I think that makes it more imperative that we
we need to know why they think these things.
If someone
we need to know that.
If someone wants to kill all the Jews, do you want them in a corner planning and you don't know about them, or do you want to keep dragging them out and make sure everybody...
I want them on TV every day showing us how stupid they are. You know?
It does. No matter how many times people talk about flat Earth, the Earth will still be round. You know, if you have someone who could effectively achieve what they're trying to do, you want to make sure that they're exposed and they're vilified, and you're laughing at them as much as possible because they're ridiculous.
Econ says, "Learn how to jump cancel for fuck's sake."
Yeah, sure.
He's just being a dick.
I have tons of time to dedicate to high-level play to this game.
Putting an idiot on TV every day is how Trump got elected. That's not exactly what happened. Like, you can't just frame it like that's all that went on there. There was a lot more going on than that.
Donald Trump represents the failures of the Democrats more than any sort of victory of the right. I mean, let's be honest. If the DNC didn't fuck over Bernie, he'd probably be president right now.
I think that's probably true.
Nobody had as fervent a fan base as the fucking Bernie Bros.
Yeah, my mom was doing Bernie rallies at my house. She made a Feel the Burn cake for everybody at the rally.
Nobody gave a shit about Hillary, except for the crazy feminists. Like, it's time for a woman, and that's not a great platform to run on. And then, of course, the email shit, like tons of bad press. There's so much fucking baggage around the Clintons. Oh Jesus! Oh, I got fuck. So, I don't know. The 2016 election was a joke, top to bottom. And yeah.
D Wagon says, "Don't worry about jump canceling. Just mash L2 to rev."
I should. I never think about that.
Bernie is now over. It's Yang Gang time.
Yeah.
Seems like he's picking up Bernie's audience more or less. I'd be interested in universal basic income. I want to see what would happen.
Yeah.
I can think of reasons it would go right or wrong, but the bottom line is I just want to see what would happen. Digi, what should I make for dinner? I have sandwiches and chicken strips, or should I go out and get Thai food or pizza? I mean, Thai sounds like the best, for sure. Thai food is fucking great. Yeah, fuck this. Digi, people are just afraid that Nazis argue better, therefore they will have to agree with the Nazis as the winner of the debate, because argument makes right, not truth. You might be right. That might be that's what I don't get. Is like, isn't giving these guys a platform just gonna make everybody realize how stupid they are? Like, isn't that what you want? Is to like bring to light the stupidity of it and like to be able. Okay.
Here's another thing. Let's say because like there are good valid reasons for saying like, yeah, if we platform these people, more people will be exposed to their ideas and they'll start thinking those things. Wouldn't you want to know if your neighbor was fucking racist?
Well, and like we have to.
Wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to have some visibility on these people?
Right.
You know.
I just think it's
especially if you're just like, if you're the kind of person who believes that.
I want to know why everyone is thinking what they're thinking. I want to know why, so that I can understand and work from a place of understanding. That is just like, I think that if
and understanding doesn't mean acceptance. It means understanding.
Doesn't mean acceptance at all. It means I want to know, why do you think this?
You want to know your enemy.
And then we can have a way better conversation about it, because then I can start saying, okay, well, if that's what you think, well, how about, like, how does that make sense in light of this fact? You know, how does that make sense in light of this fact? One of the most admirable things I've ever heard of anyone doing, and this story, I know there's probably people who think who have reasons to think that this story is not worth bringing up, but I legitimately think this is a great thing that happened. Is there's this one guy, this black dude, who went around befriending members of the KKK and collecting their masks after he made them realize, like, how wrong they are, basically.
Right.
And it all started with, like, a guy who was, like, giving him grief in a bar, I guess, and he just, like, talked to the dude, and, like, he was saying, you know, most of the time these people, like, they haven't really thought about their ideology. They just have it because they grew up with it, or it's just, like, what they know based on what they think is true, but as soon as you challenge those beliefs, you can change their minds, you know? And so, like, he would hang out with people. He was saying, like, one time, he was, like, in a car with one of these guys, and the guy says something like, oh, aren't all black people, like, have this trait or whatever? And he goes, well, I'm black and I'm not like that. And the guy's like, oh, well, now that you mention it, yeah. And
right.
So, like, he just sits there and, like, converts. Like, he listens to why they think what they think. He refutes it calmly and amicably, and then changes their minds and collects their fucking masks. And he has a closet full of them. That's how you get people to stop being a Nazi. You don't do it by telling them, you're a demon, I'm not giving you a platform, because it's just going to make their resolve stronger. Right. It's just going to make their fans more dedicated.
Richard Spencer changed his mind versus how many times has that method changed someone's mind?
Right. And, like, not everyone's going to have their mind changed, but if you can out-argue the person, then people who are listening are going to hear it and go, oh, okay, I see why that person's an idiot.
Another really important point on top of that is that this guy recognizes that he's fighting against bad ideas, not people. People are malleable and can change. But a lot of the modern political discourse is you're a bad person. Not that I disagree with your ideas or I think your ideas are flawed. It's that you're a terrible, evil person and you need to be killed. And if I could legally kill you, I would. You know? They'll do anything possible to unperson somebody.
I'm sick of this fucking Raven is Love moron. He says, you can read about why they think what they do. You don't need to platform them where they literally lie and mislead dumb fuck centrists like you two, and as a consequence create more Nazis through the audience you give offer to them.
Okay,
they haven't convinced either of us, you fucking retard.
Not even that. By that same token, we should ban you because I don't like your communist bullshit, whatever fucking thing you believe.
You fucking
Why should we have... then we should not platform anybody. Because you're arguing from a position that I am inherently right and everyone else is inherently wrong. And while we can both agree that Nazism is bad, any sort of crazy left-wing thing is just as bad.
Yeah.
You want to ban Nazis? We gotta ban Antifa and communism and all other shit too. And then there's nothing but centrists left.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
The only people who get to survive are people who don't believe in anything.
Right.
It won't even be centrists, it'll just be nihilists. I believe in nothing! I gotta fucking piss. God damn. Boy.
Wrong buttons.
feel like I should apologize to you, Tom, for springing the most political fucking live stream of all time on you.
Yeah.
You haven't died once, right? You've just been...
No, I've died a few times.
Oh, you have? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you had just been going fucking
God,
consistently.
I wish I was that good. No. Well, the first time I didn't die, I got a time over, so I probably could have kept going if there wasn't a time limit. But, doing a little better this time. I think I ever got up to 7 minutes last time.
Econ said, the whole conceit behind Digi and Tom's argument is that Nazism is self-evidently illogical and granting it exposure will only allow them to prove themselves wrong, but clearly it isn't. Genocide has never really been popular, but still somehow Hitler swayed the nation into it. There's sort of confidence about this point of view that says... And I think you got cut off. I wasn't trying to say it's self-evidently incorrect, but that you can debate people and make it obvious. Like, you can... If you are good at, you know... and arguing against their point. I just think it's wrong to ignore these extremist viewpoints or to try to just shove them away because they don't go anywhere when you do that. Like, it doesn't make it disappear. It doesn't make those people not believe what they believe. It doesn't stop them from being able to find their own base outside of the platform that you've given them. And if anything, you're giving them the opportunity and the reason to create a new structure. I don't know how much the left is aware of this, because I don't know if they actually follow what goes on in these circles, but the fact that YouTube and Patreon, for instance, have started cracking down on political ideologies that they disagree with has led to new platforms coming into existence that are growing and growing because more people are falling into those crowds, and those people get way more extreme. They get way more intense about their opinions when you don't let them have a platform.
It also makes them all martyrs.
Yes, it makes them all martyrs, which makes support way easier. So, like, everybody who's gotten kicked off of a platform, they instantly make way more money. They instantly get tons of, you know, attention and coverage from the people who agree with them. And it converts a whole bunch of people who think that the other side is being unreasonable by not giving them a voice. So, like, every time that you kick like a right-winger off of YouTube or something, it empowers their following to want to say, oh, the left is fucking ridiculous. They won't even have a conversation. Whereas, if you just had a conversation with them, then sure, a lot of people are going to come away still agreeing with whoever they came into the conversation agreeing with, but some people will be swayed to the other side, you know, whichever one makes the more rational argument. And so it's worth having that conversation, which is why I'm willing to do things like debate Destiny. Yeah, most of the people are either going to come away agreeing with me because they already did, or agreeing with him because they already did, but there are some people who are going to, you know, come around to my side, or even his side, because in this case, like, it's such a petty fucking argument that, like, even divining which side is more logical is, like, I obviously think I was more logical, but, like, you know, when you're debating minute semantics, then it's not quite as, like, sweepingly easy to say, like, killing people is wrong, you know? Felt like vacation. I never said that people were not swayed by rational arguments. That is not even close to anything I was arguing in that debate. Darth Ball Fondle says, this was accurate till they started fucking with payment processors, and now when you get deplatformed you just die. That is not true, my friend.
Subscribestar is real, they exist.
Subscribestar is real. Dick Masterson's built a whole new project too,
Jordan
which is finally up and
Peterson
running.
What's his name?
Dave
Rubin are making a new platform.
I lost several patrons when Patreon blocked Sargon, and I got at least one of them back by going on New Project 2. Before, I don't even have the page set up. Somebody pledged me $5 as soon as it even existed. So, you know, that's how radically people feel about these issues. And believe me, like I have watched a considerable number of people who used to consider themselves liberals become more and more and more conservative just because of censorship issues. Like I've seen it happen.
Right. I'm probably one of them. I think it's ridiculous. You're the most annoying enemies in the fucking game.
Jack the Stripper says, Milo Yiannopoulos lost a shitload of money after he lost his Twitter. Alex Jones lost a shitload of viewers and money when he lost his Twitter. Every example of people losing their Twitter, Patreon, YouTube, etc. shows that they lose viewers and money. That is not true. Monkey Jones made a fuckload of money when he lost his fucking YouTube account. Let me tell you what. His Patreon went up by like $2,000. Now, granted, if he lost his Patreon, he'd probably have to make a new project too. But like, you can't look at this in such a linear way. It's not like, oh, they lost money here and therefore they were at a loss, when it might be that they build something that makes them more money a year later, you know? It's like, you could say, I lost a lot of subscribers and views when I stopped talking about My Little Pony, but a year later I was making way more than I had been before because, you know, I built something different.
Oh.
This guy who keeps saying censorship works, I'm like, works to what end? Works to the end of whatever you think is right, which I think is wrong? Like, I don't know what you mean.
I mean, if you censor a person, you can slow their message or their particular message, but all you're doing, you're like winning a battle but losing the war, because you've just, everyone who's believed that message has now doubled and tripled down on believing that message. Just, I mean, if it's hard to like consider that fact with Nazis or whatever the fuck you want to think of if your favorite content creator got deplatformed and someone said they are not allowed to be on here, would you A, be like, well, I guess I don't believe what they believe anymore, or would you be like, this is fucking ridiculous, and you would go to war for them? You know, if ContraPoints was banned tomorrow, would you be like, well, I guess ContraPoints was full of shit? Or would you be like, this is ridiculous, and you would like triple down on your support for someone you like ContraPoints?
That would absolutely happen.
You know, like, you gotta just like think a bit more abstractly.
I don't think they're intelligent enough to do that.
I think it's possible. Again,
with training.
I don't. You know, my whole thing with like talking about these things is that we're debating ideas, not people. Because my thought process has always been, even someone who I vehemently disagree with politically, I'm sure if we were not talking politics, we just sat down and had like a beer or something, and we weren't aware of each other's political leanings, we'd probably get along fine. I think for 99% of people that would be the case.
Real Human Pizza says, well, she's not a Nazi, so it probably wouldn't happen. I mean, it could happen if the person running the platform decided that they were a Nazi. Like, you
all
know.
it takes, I mean, there's tons of stories of like the quote-unquote left eating their own, and like you step out of line once and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know? James Gunn's a great example of someone who was like a lefty hero, did one thing wrong, and he got fucked for it.
Yeah.
They eventually reinstated him because of the public outcry and shit, and for financial reasons because he got hired by DC. But it's just like, you know,
that fucking suplex or whatever that was great.
There's this like a continued purity test, and it only takes one fail to fail you basically for life.
Yeah.
And all you're doing when you're doing this is just building. It's funny how like
great point. Exotic maneuver. What if the people who take her down end up being TERFs? Like you don't.
Right.
I could easily see a TERF running a major platform. You know, like.
Well, it's funny how like the idea right now is like we need censorship, we need like government intervention and things like that. You do realize that you're talking about the same government that Trump is in charge of right now?
That cracks me up every time when people are like, I'm like I'm a authoritarian, and I'm like, because I think people are stupid.
Who's the authority right now?
And I'm like, yeah, well, the authority is not somebody who you want to be like. What do you think? Like, everybody wants to be an authoritarian if they get to be in power, but you're not going to get to be in power. Nobody's going to vote for. Nobody votes for somebody because they're so logical, and like, so they vote for whoever is charismatic, and you know, that's probably going to be somebody who has a pretty radical way of communicating, or at least a radical vision for what they think things should be like, and you know. It's not necessarily going to be your guy. It was really funny. There was a guy on Twitter who said, like, he literally said, I'm an authoritarian because I think people are stupid, but I wouldn't probably act on, like, the things I think. And I said, you think the government is smarter? It's run by people.
Right.
It is people.
The government is people.
It'd be one thing if we had like, in Psycho-Pass, the whole reason that the civil system was able to take over is because they had convinced everyone that it was a computer making objective judgments. But it wasn't. It was just a very convincing consensus built from a Beowulf cluster of brains. That is the best government, best authoritarian government you can get. The best possible authoritarian government that you could ever get would be the civil system. If you watched Psycho-Pass and you thought, I don't want to live in this society, then congratulations, you're not an authoritarian. Zagatek says it was made of the brains of psychopathic people. It wasn't psychopathic people per se. It was people who they couldn't read their emotions or whatever, or they couldn't, like, their system doesn't work on those people, and so they add those people to the system because that fills in more of the gaps in their knowledge.
Sure.
It's like assumably the core brains would be people who were like most people. It's just like if you find somebody who they can't account for, then that means that it's another perspective, and that's why they want it in the collective. It wasn't that all of them are, like once they have Makishima, if another person who's just like him appeared, that person would not be criminally asymptomatic because they would have his judgment as a part of it. So that was kind of the point. It's not so much that they all would be asymptomatic if they were examined post being added to the cluster. I think. That's how I understood it anyway. Can I watch Season 3 after skipping Season 2? If you're talking about Psycho-Pass, there's not a Season 3 yet, but yes. Season 2 is fucking terrible. I mean, the movie did not really acknowledge Season 2 at all, so I doubt that the third season would either. Why is the game blurry? I don't know. We probably are fucking recording it at 480p or some bullshit.
Again? I thought we fixed that. Death to streaming.
Okay, Digi, if people would see that Nazis are dumb and people are wrong, why did Nazi Germany happen? Well, because it was, it was like really circumstantial.
The whole country was reeling after World War One. The whole, you
Their
had to have
was completely fucked.
a wheelbarrow full of money to to buy a loaf of bread, you know, because like Germany was on the hook for the entirety of World War I's debt repayments and like rebuilding everything. So like people were desperate, you know. And you can argue a similar situation with Trump. You have an entire class of people that are being ignored by the government as it stands, and here's a guy who comes in and says, I'm gonna, you know, bring your jobs back and shit. Obviously Trump's not a Nazi, and he's not doing anything nearly as bad as gassing Jews, despite what the more vocal people on the left would have you believe. But the same thing applies, you know? And this is why we have to make sure that all information is available. Because, like, you're gonna have, like, people in the Midwest or whatever continue to get more and more polarized because they're not getting their needs talked about. Should never be afraid of discussion. Right. The only reason you'd be afraid of talking to Nazis is if you think they're better at discussing things than you are.
Skooks89, I did go to the secret shoe store in Boston the first time I came. Munchie showed it to me. Pretty cool. Are you aware of this?
I'm not aware of the secret shoes.
There's this place that looks like it's just this really, really shitty convenience store in like downtown Boston. And when you walk in, there's like a guy behind a counter, and like you can buy, I guess, stuff, but it's all like garbage that looks like it's ancient. But if you walk up to the vending machine, it's actually a sliding door that leads into like a really happening shoe place.
All right.
Like shoes and jackets and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super neat. Why didn't other Germans out-debate them on their platforms? I don't know. I mean, it was a very different time. Didn't exactly have the internet. Didn't exactly have broadcast television to, you know, debate things. I don't know how free their media even was at the time, you know? Like, it's certainly easy to radicalize a population if you are not letting them hear other viewpoints. Like, that's a pretty easy way to go about that, which is kind of exactly why I'm arguing for free speech and letting all the viewpoints be recognized. What bar did you go to in LA? I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. It was like kind of more of a restaurant than a bar. I don't know. It wasn't a very big place. I guess it could easily be considered one or the other. You're not arguing for free speech when you want to intervene on companies that ban people? I've never said anything about that. Companies are completely within their rights to ban people. It's not good for business.
Right. You can say that something is a bad idea without saying it needs to be censored by the government or like legislated by the government. Yeah. Though I think there is an interesting argument to be made that some of these social media sites are basically on the scale of public utilities at this point.
I would really have to, like... I mean, if we're going to make that argument, then the question would be, alright, so does that mean the government should buy out Twitter and then fund it with taxpayer money? In which case I'd probably say, no, I don't want that. Let's just let them do what they want.
The thing is that, like, as far as I can... And again, I haven't done a lot of research into this because, like, I'm not a politics guy. I'm a fucking loser who makes 3D models in his spare time. But there's the difference between a platform and a publisher, you know, and like there's legal definitions between that. Because if you're making editorial choices on content, like a lot of these platforms are, you're a publisher and you're liable for everything that's said on there. Whereas if you're a platform, you're not legally liable for anything on that's being said, but you can't choose to arbitrarily censor and change what's on there. So most social media sites right now are making editorial decisions like a publisher, but are legally still recognized as just a platform. And a lot of people are saying you got to choose one or the other, you know, because there is clear political bias on all these platforms, but they're still operating under the rules of a platform, which means they're not responsible for what's on there. So they're kind of getting their cake and eating it too. And it's because these are such new concepts, the law isn't really caught up with the idea of like a Facebook. So I don't really know where I stand on that, but it's an interesting question.
Did you what happened to my cat in Virginia? I believe it's with Shade. It was never really my cat, but you know. She's still around. V is probably the character with worst gameplay in the DMC series. It's still good, but not nearly as good as other characters. It's very simplistic and feels kind of awkward. Okay for casuals, but F for hardcore players. How you feel?
I mean, he's definitely the hardest. He's like the hardest and the easiest to use at the same time, because like I'm doing really well because I'm not taking any brunt of the damage because I'm not over here. But there's just a lot to keep track of because your guys have like simple combos, but you're controlling 3 characters at once, and it feels very weird. Then again, I've seen people do a lot of cool shit with it. It's just you don't have nearly as much direct control, so you have to rely on the AI to make targeting choices and stuff a lot of the times. I appreciate the game question.
At your pleasure, Pierce Throne. This is your misery. Crush him.
Do you think you would get the same numbers of views on your videos if you deleted your YouTube channel, or would you get more views since being removed from your main platform for posting content is the best way to grow an audience, apparently? That depends. I mean, there literally are people who grew exponentially after their channels got deleted, but usually they got them back.
Right.
Like,
I think
like
also,
I Hate Everything only has a career because he got banned, like his channel got deleted for copyright reasons. And when he, like, the outpouring of support that he got was so fucking ridiculous, because he showed up on a, like, he was loudly crying woe is me about it and got onto a bunch of podcasts and communicated with a bunch of people. Like, if I were to be deplatformed from YouTube right away, there would be a fuckload of huge podcasts who would invite me on to talk about it, and that would be amazing promotion. My Patreon would skyrocket. So would I get as many views? Probably not, especially not in the short term, but it would definitely benefit me in a lot of ways.
it's the same thing as deplatforming anybody. You know, your total reach goes down, but the fervor of the people who remain goes up. You can almost say deplatforming creates radicals.
Chip said, unless this is some deep lore I don't know about, by the time I found out I had everything, he was already huge, millions of views per video. I mean, I believe before his channel got deleted, he was under like 200,000 or something like that, and like within a couple months afterward, he got his channel back, he was up to 1 million subscribers. I mean, like, because he kind of ended up being the poster child of YouTube channels getting fraudulent copyright claims. Sorry to be an asshole, Digi, but the Annie Uber would most likely be happy that you're gone. I don't know what the Annie Uber is.
Anime YouTube community.
I mean, some of them would be.
I think Annie Uber, Annie Tuber, the Y and the T are right next to each
Other anime YouTubers might be glad I was gone. Even though like a lot of the people who would be glad I was gone wouldn't exist if not for me. So they can get fucked. I do not listen to Sardonicast. Would you be friends with Ralph the Movie Maker if he went to your high school? Probably. Seems like a cool guy. I like his videos. How did you find the Dick Show? If you're asking me, I was already following the biggest problem in the universe. And I found that because it was made by Maddox, who I was a huge fan of, before he turned into a fucking insane person. I guess he always was an insane person, but until it became clear that he was an insane person. I found out about Maddox because of an anime blogger named Bakaraptor, whose shtick was that he was Maddox for anime. Would you collaborate with Anime Man if he approached you about making a video? Absolutely.
Hitting the following buttons.
Did you or Tom, what would you think if YouTube was a pay system where you had to pay a subscription to have a channel and upload videos, and how would it change the game? I mean, it would not be the same website anymore.
Yeah.
Way fewer people would use it. I mean, there's already other streaming sites that are like that, and none of them are very popular.
Gatekeeping. Interesting tactic.
Now I'm gonna piss.
Someone said they think this game sucks.
Well, they're entitled to their opinion.
Getting fucking tired. Nate and Munchie think a YouTube subscription is a good idea. They, what do you mean? Like, what did they say they thought was a good idea? We got 100 bits from Jip. Says, thoughts on naan bread. I love naan bread.
Oh shit.
It's fucking great.
This makes me hungry.
Ugh. God damn.
Did I miss any hot takes?
Alphonse is best says Tom is an attractive man. That is all.
Sure. I'll take that.
Oh God.
How long have we been going for?
Just over 2 hours.
Okay. It seems about right. Each one of these runs have lasted a little over half an hour, so that sounds about correct.
I have to apologize to everybody for the fact that we didn't do what would have been a much more enjoyable stream for our actual audience and just played the PCP Dating Sims, which was our plan.
Oh. Absolutely Thursday.
I am sorry that I invited the Destiny Brigade over to continue arguing. I was really upset that I know that there's going to be like somebody came in earlier who said, "Oh, did the Destiny debate already happen?" Somebody responded, "Yeah, Digi lost the debate," and I'm like, that might be your opinion, but I don't feel that way. And I wanted it to be very clear to everyone that I think I won, and that I think if you think he won, you are stupid. I wanted that to be very clear. Because I think a lot of the reason that Dick has gotten so much shit for his argument is that he didn't like his own performance, and he was kind of hard on himself. And I was like, I don't want anybody going with that narrative. You know, like, you can think what you want to think, but just let everybody know. You are retarded if you think I lost that debate.
Man, now I will watch it and make my own mind up. Even though, from what we're talking about here, it seems like we're relatively on the same wavelength.
Gouging. Right.
Did you have the strange phenomenon where I think it's easier for me to listen to a 2-hour podcast than to watch a 2-hour movie? I need your advice and guidance. I mean, I feel the same way. It's just because it doesn't require as much of your attention. Your dick bias is real. I mean, I've been very critical of him just within this this live stream. I just think that Destiny's a retard, and that everything he says is obnoxious and cunty, that his entire way of arguing is fundamentally disagreeable. I'm sure that he's right about a lot of things and has a lot of correct opinions, and that's why people think he's a smart guy. But the way that he argues is absolutely despicable and disgusting to me.
Pardon me.
Aren't these normal IM Games numbers? No, these are literally double normal IM Games numbers. Usually we like top out at 85. We're at 206 still.
If only we could keep these numbers up forever.
What do you mean I couldn't substantiate the claim? I substantiated everything I said in that debate. I think I laid out absolute proof of every single thing that I claimed. If anybody wants to try to hash out why they think I was wrong, you can go ahead and try to put something together, but I want you to listen back to that, listen to the words I used. I chose them carefully. I think I was very clear about what my point was, and I think I made my point. Just have Tom debate Destiny to keep the numbers up.
I mean, I don't even know what his points are. I kind of already put in my 2 cents this entire podcast, so.
Digi, do you reject any rants that the Patreons give, or how's the selection process? I just kind of, if somebody requests me to rant about something I don't know about, I'll ask them, like, hey, are you sure? Because I have nothing to say about this. Sometimes they decide to keep it, sometimes they don't. Tom has not listened to the debate yet. I think he was asleep.
I was watching Naruto.
He was watching Naruto. Much better use of time, I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, speaking of Nazis, we got a deplatform Hatake Kakashi, who straight up is like, yeah guys, stay in the swastika formation during the Great War.
Yeah.
And it was fucking hilarious. So got a deplatform Kakashi. Fucking die.
Settle back. Slice him.
He clearly asked you for substantiation on your claim that he argued like an asshole at one point in the debate and you refused? What? When did that happen? He asked for, like... I remember him asking me to... The only thing I remember refusing was to talk about the dick shit. But I mean, I argue... My whole argument for why he argues like an asshole is that he puts words in people's mouth, and I proved that point more than thoroughly. He did it about 1,000 times in the fucking podcast, and I called him out on it every time. Why does it matter how Destiny argues if he's correct? And by your logic, the specific argument doesn't matter? I mean, it matters to whether or not I watch and enjoy the content. It matters to whether or not I think he's a piece of shit. Like, whether or not I think he wins debates has nothing to do with my impression of him as a person. He probably does win most of the debates he does.
Come back. Slice him. Slice him. Pierce throne.
If you wanted to, Tom, you could debate about whether or not deplatforming is good. Destiny agrees with you both a lot on this. Well, then what the hell would be the debate?
Return.
Did you lost your cool too fast talking to Destiny? You know, I was trying to just be, like, really chill, but he kept just insulting me. Like, right off the bat, he was like, oh, that's such an idiotic thing to say. Or, like, I don't even know how to respond because it's so stupid. And I'm just like, okay, if you're going to be a dick, then I'm going to be a dick, you know? Like... Tom, have you seen the pain fight, and what do you think about the animation used?
It was cool. I mean, everyone was like freaking out, saying like, "Oh, there's so much like smearing and like crazy shit." I didn't think they went too over the top with it. It seemed fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was just that it was like one of the very early cases of a WebGen animator being brought onto a show, because the guy was like an internet animator.
Interesting.
So, which like in the mid 2000s, like they started scouting what are known as WebGen, like people who, some of them actually use tablets and shit, you know, like, because most animation's still done by hand in Japan, so they tend to be more about the movement than about the you know, individual beauty of the keyframes.
You know, like a hype scene's about to happen in that show every time like the shading goes away. It's like, all right.
You were a dick in the video, though? I mean, sure. And he was a dick in the podcast that I was reacting to. Like, I mean, it's turtles all the way down, but coming into the debate, I came in very calm, very cold, just like, all right, let's have a conversation. And, like, right away, he was like, oh, you're a fucking moron. And I was just like, alrighty then, I guess this is where we're going. Like, I guess it's happening. Does Destiny know who you were? Was that debate the first time he heard of me? He had no idea who I was. All he had seen was the video. Again, that's why I really think that he thought that I was, like, probably a political guy or, like, somebody who, like, holds a lot of the same opinions as Dick. Because he really wanted to argue with me about his podcast with Dick. Like, that was... He kept bringing it up on Twitter. He brought it up when we first started the show, and throughout, like, he kept trying to bring it back to his argument with Dick Masterson, and I'm like, dude, I'm not interested in that argument. Like, I'm interested in the way that you debate, and, like, you know, how, like, my problem with you. I don't care about Dick's problem with you, I care about my problem with you, you know? How do you feel about caring what happens on fake internet debates? Pretty autistic, but, you know, what else is new?
Autism makes the world go round.
It really does.
Whoa, okay. Where's that camera going?
Yeah, I understand that he brought it back to the debate with Dick because that's what my video was about, but we didn't argue over my video. You have to understand that the way this came about is that in the video I said I would love to argue with Destiny about something, but not this, because this was just a boring recursive argument. And I don't know if he ever actually watched the whole video to hear me say that, but when he came on Twitter, he said, like, come on my show and let's argue, and I said, what do you want to argue about? And he said that Dick substantiated any of his claims or whatever, and I said, I don't hold that opinion. And he said, so you think Dick floundered or whatever? And I said, no, I don't hold that opinion either, but I will debate with you that you put people's words in people's mouths like a piece of shit, and this tweet is evidence. So that was all I came in to argue about, was that fact that he puts words in people's mouths. It had nothing to do with that original video. It had everything to do with that tweet. So, like, for him to keep trying to take it back to the video, it's like, that wasn't what I came here to debate you about. I understand that that's why you wanted to debate me, is because I made this video, but it says right there in the video that I'm not interested in rehashing the Dick Masterson debate. Oh yeah, he did call me autistic at one point. Even though... Even though I had several people tell me that he was autistic before I went in to argue with him. Which is funny. We're all autistic here on the internet.
Yeah. It's a prerequisite for doing the things we're doing right now.
Didn't you base the way he debates from that one debate with Dick? No, I based it on literally the tweets. The tweets that he sent that I read in the debate. The whole debate was about the tweets.
Retreat.
Also, as Maxed Out points out, he says, did people think you made the video because you had a bone to pick and not just because you were asked to? Like, yeah, literally it was a paid rant. Like, I didn't give a shit. I wouldn't have watched the whole debate if not for the fact that somebody paid me to talk about it. You're right, I should have shown him my fuck off I'm autistic shirt. Why didn't you want to talk about the video? Because it's not interesting.
I mean, it's also not your argument, so like you don't know what was going through Dick's head, what he was trying to prove or not
Right,
prove.
I don't want to try to argue on his behalf or anything, like...
I'm not gonna white knight for Dick.
Plus, like, I would rather have an argument about something he did to me than something he did to Dick, you know?
Right.
So. Fortuna keeps struggling.
Always gotta love when you log into Twitter and see that 99 plus.
I think I've seen it once in my entire life.
Oh, that's it? I see it all the time.
Well, that's why you make like $4 a month and I make 200. You get a little bit more clout than I do.
$4 grand a month.
Something like that. Probably 5 or 6 at this point, right?
That
Oh,
depends.
for
Are
the
we
rants?
counting ad revenue?
I just meant on Patreon.
Yeah.
I don't have-
I was almost at $5 grand at the end of last month before you know the usual monthly decline-a-thon. But I make more than that when I actually get paid out because I have it set up so people pay as soon as they
Right.
sign up.
As you should.
Yeah.
As everyone should.
Gouge.
I mean, with my reward structure, it would be totally ridiculous if you didn't have to do that. Someone said, what music is that? MSI? It does sound almost like MSI from a distance.
Yeah, no, it's just some song made for this game. I don't know who's by.
Digi, why do you and Giga have the same Patreon cash per month? Because I am a cult of personality. I make more than most people on Patreon.
Return it to the underworld.
Zach Attack says, as a fellow autist, how the fuck does that affect one's ability to have a debate? Autism is a social behavioral problem, not an intellectual problem. It was a bit of a dick move. It was. Because the whole... What he was trying to say is like, oh, are you autistic? You don't understand that there's like implications behind words? And I'm like, no, it's because I understand that I choose my words carefully. You know, like, what I'm trying to say is that you trying to interpret my inner thoughts through... like extrapolation on what I said is you being a fucking asshole, you know? and you provably can't do it because you said before the stream that you knew everything I was going to say, and then were shocked by everything that I said. Like, that's the funniest part of the whole thing to me. He literally said, oh, I already have inside my brain everything that this guy could possibly say, and then was, like, totally blown off guard by everything I said. It's like, yeah, that's literally you. To be fair, Digi called Destiny retarded. I mean, okay, I want to have a conversation about the word retarded. Does it still... Is retarded still a medical term? Like, is anybody actually retarded?
I think it technically still is, yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
Like, is there a condition called mental retardation?
I'm sure there is. I mean, even if
Is
it's
it
not...
still called that?
Yeah.
Like, what exactly is it? What is considered mental retardation?
Really slow brain damage.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's still an insult then.
Not necessarily brain damage, but
It's just...
mental deficit.
It's really funny to me because people are always like, oh, you can't say retarded because it might offend a retarded person. And I'm like, is there, like, do people ever use it to mean, like, a specific mental condition? I'm pretty sure it's just a substitute for stupid, you know?
I mean, that's how it's used commonly. So it's just like, again, it goes back to, like, words versus meaning. Like, what are you trying to say versus what is literally being said. There's really, like, two arguments in common, like, social discourse, taking a million different forms. No! I was not in that hitbox. Fuck you, buddy. Oh. Fuck. Get him.
Bill Cosby Vivo, which is an amazing name, says, did you know that there are people that still believe in God and still go to church every Sunday? Like, what the fuck? I know, dude, I don't get it. Apparently it's more so called intellectual disability nowadays.
Oh, it does sound
So they're phasing it out. As well, they might as well. Like, because nobody's going to use what are you, intellectually disabled? Unless they're, like, sincerely asking, you know? No. What are you, retarded? Nobody thinks that I mean that you're literally retarded. The argument against ableist people is that someone who has the condition would feel belittled by its use as an insult. I mean, that's why I was asking, like, is it actually still a condition? Like, do we actually... Because, like, most things, to me, retarded has always... I always took it as a blanket statement of just, like, having something wrong, but, like, most of those things we have now disambiguated and we now have, like, specific terms for. So, like, if being... Like, if literally there's a... Like, I've heard people say things like, I'm autistic, and I get offended when people say retarded. And I'm like, but you're not retarded. So why are you offended? You know? If someone's calling you... If someone's using autistic as an insult, I can see why you'd be offended, you know? But, like... If it's not something you actually have, then I don't get it. Has Ben Saint always been a lib cuck and was just hiding his power level?
He's got a little bit more vocal about it, but I'm pretty sure he's always been pretty left-leaning.
Okay, I know that Ben would be really offended if I said this, but I've never been able to take anything he says politically seriously at all because his reasoning for like why he thinks the things he does is always bizarre to me. I never really understand where he's coming from. So like sometimes he will like really insist that he has this one political slant, but then it seems like things he says are antithetical to it. So I don't know. I hate when people categorize themselves with broad political terms anyways. Like, it's like, are you sure you're liberal? Because there's a lot of things that come with that. I mean, I guess he's probably liberal in the sense... I don't know. He took that quiz and tested, like, far-flung left, which is apparently not even liberal. It's whatever the... What did they say it was?
Leftist.
Yeah, I guess he... I don't know. It didn't seem like he was a leftist when I first met him, because he's always been kind of... I mean, he might be that he is more like politically authoritarian, but he's definitely very anti-identity politics, which is what the left is largely associated with these days.
I think he's more economically left.
I mean, he definitely likes having free money. Like, he's hella into Yang Gang, and that's not surprising to me at all. But I also don't think Yang comes off as, like, an extreme leftist, you know?
No. He's way more, I don't want to say conservative, but less extreme than, you know... Because he's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman. Like, he's run a bunch of businesses, so he's, like, more of a capitalist than, You're getting triple S's all the time.
I just want to say, Tom, you were there that day that that me and Zen had done acid for the first time, and then you came downstairs and we were having a long political discussion, right? Mm-hmm. If Yang wins the presidency, everything I said that day was correct. Because I was arguing that the next generation was going to increasingly favor rulers who are more like robotic and objective and are more like about just present, like who have like less personality in like an explosive kind of sense, you know? And like when I was watching Yang talk on Joe Rogan, I didn't watch the whole thing, but like what I saw of it, I was like, this is exactly who I was describing. Like this is who I was envisioning as like the Zoomer god, you know? Right. So if he wins, then I'm gonna feel, I guess I'm saying this now for the public. Just so you know, before I even knew Yang existed, I had this conceit, this imagination of a man who is basically Yang.
From what I understand, he has a long uphill battle right now.
I mean, yeah, I would say just the fact that he's, like, young and Asian is going to be difficult for a lot of Americans, you know?
Right.
But, I mean, we've had a black president, so it's not like we can't have a non-white president.
I just think the establishment would not want something like UBI. You know? I mean, the DNC has showed that they don't give a fuck and will, like, do what they want regardless of, like, where, you know, popular interest is. So, like, if Yang gets popular, I still think they'll push for Joe Biden just like they did with Hillary. They want their established kind of candidates to take center stage here again.
Digi, Zoomer, and Millennials are literally the same shit. There's no difference. Hard disagree. I have a lot harder time relating to Zoomers than I do to other Millennials. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think that he was like thinking that they were the same generation. I thought he was just saying that they are not different ideologically or whatever.
Wasted right now. They all shooties.
The fuck is a Zoomer? Generation Z. The generation of people who are turning about, you know, I would say anywhere in the age range of like probably like 7 to 22 at present.
Seems about right.
I don't know. Maybe even younger than 7. I don't know if I don't really know if another generation has begun yet. Like I don't know if because it's hard to predict what technology will be when those kids grow up. It's like you might be someone who was born this year, and by the time you're 10, there will be something in existence that you know is totally unrelatable even to the Zoomers. But I don't know that, so we can't really determine a generation shift until there has been a technological shift, and then it'll be whoever was born after a certain point. So I guess we'll just say that we're in the Zoomer era.
Yeah. Our age demographic is no longer the cutting edge. We've been replaced with a newer model.
Yang is homophobic? On what basis? What did he ever say that was homophobic? I have not heard anything.
Yeah,
like
that would
this.
be... That's an interesting claim.
Will you debate Destiny again? Maybe prepare your arguments better beforehand? No. I mean, I don't think I did anything wrong. I don't think I fucked up in any way. I had my arguments well prepared way before I went into it. Is Ben a Zoomer whisperer? Yes. Ben is some kind of weird Zoomer whisperer. And yes, Zoomers can vote at least the first, like, the eldest few years of Zoomers can vote. Is Yang Econ's father? I don't know what Econ would think of Yang. He seems... I mean, I don't even know, like, I don't know... What I like about Yang is that he's not clear-cut into either of the he's not, like, an obviously conservative or liberal guy. Like, he seems, like... Universal basic income might seem like more of a liberal kind of idea, but I don't even know if it necessarily is. Like, I don't know what it will result in, you know? There are apparently places that have implemented it successfully. I think it's somewhere in Scandinavia, I think, has a...
Doesn't Alaska have a dividend as well? With all the oil money?
They pay you to live there, is what that is, I think. So, yeah, I guess that's the same thing.
Technically. Similar, at least.
But Alaska is also, like, a shit crime-ridden hellhole because it's fucking... The sun doesn't go down for 8 days at a time, so... People should not live in the north. Even here is too far north. Yang has said that he thinks Democrats have gone too far doing things in the name of progressivism. Hard to agree, but it probably rubs some people the wrong way. I mean, yeah, of course it will. It was invented by libertarians? What, UBI? Well then, yeah, I guess I wouldn't... I mean... It's probably why I'm so interested in it. Is Alaska crime-ridden? That's what I've been told, according to May. I don't know what research she did, but you were telling me Alaska was like had really bad crime, right?
Anchorage does.
Anchorage.
May must have talked about it to Mark as well at some point,
Yeah.
since Mark knows exactly what the talking points are.
Yeah. Digi, are you a Zoomer if you were a kid when Zoom with Tim Allen came out? I don't even remember Zoom with Tim Allen.
Guess that means you're not a Zoomer.
Apparently Alaska doesn't necessarily have a high crime rate, but they do have a high murder rate specifically.
Well, understandable.
Digi, can you explain what you think leftist economics are in clear terms as you understand it? I have no understanding, and I don't know what leftist economics are. Other than welfare. Social welfare, I guess.
I mean, they seem to be pushing for socialism. Seems to be the idea.
Yeah. It's really weird because, like, the left and the right in America are two parties that they don't make any fucking sense at all because there's so little connection between the different things that they believe. Like, when I was taking all these political compass quizzes, it's like you'll get asked an economic question that might put you on the right, and then you'll be asked a question about, like, society that will, like for instance, if a political compass quiz asks you, like, do you think that it's important for church and state to be separated? That is taken as a liberal or a left-leaning position. And it's like, well, okay, my stance on religion has nothing to do with my stance on money. You know, so
Right.
like, why are these two things being grouped together as what side I'm on? And that's why I ended up being in the center every time, because it's like,
Right.
I have a lot of disagreements with
That's-
both sides. Weird.
That's a misunderstanding
Extra shit.
with centrism. Like there's like that comic, that like one panel political cartoon where it's like the KKK on one side and like Black Liberation on the other side, and the guy in the center is like, can't we come to an understanding? And it's like, being a centrist doesn't mean moderation
No, it
and
does
everything.
not.
It means you just, depending on, you go on a case by case basis like a logical person would. You're examining issues, not playing a fucking sport.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hard. I'm every stance I have is a hard line stance. You know, it's not like indecisiveness or an inability to, or like wanting to see both sides of every argument. No, I don't feel that way. Like, I think religion's retarded and it should have nothing to do with politics. Like, if that's a left-wing stance, then I guess I have a left-wing stance, but like, it has no bearing on how I feel about the economy. So like, yeah, I end up testing middle for those reasons. But like, consistently I do test very libertarian because I just believe in fucking freedom. Like, I don't think that, the only reason I don't trust authority, because there is no authority figure who I trust to have my needs in mind. Like, there's nobody who I trust to make the rules, you know? Like, yes, if we could somehow figure out objectively what was the best future for humanity, and then, you know, have all our policy reflect that, then great. But no one has that information. No one has an objective point of view on that. And even a lot of, like, there's a lot of great arguments for, like, what would benefit the most people, but that's not everyone. And not everything that benefits the most people benefits me. And I'm gonna represent my own interests, obviously. So, like, fucking authoritarianism is only scary to me because I have a lot of things that I care about, or just personality traits that don't necessarily fit in with the rest of humanity, and I want to feel protected by the fucking place I live, you know? Like, as somebody who never had the opportunity to fit in, I don't trust the crowd, you know? I don't trust the consensus to be on my side. And so, you know, anybody who makes an argument like, you know, but like, most people would feel that way, so shouldn't we? So like, why you gotta have the opposite voice? And it's like, because in every situation there's somebody who's gonna fall into that category. And if you keep burning away everybody who doesn't agree with the consensus, very quickly you're going to lose more than 50% of everyone. Right. You know. What is the one hard drug you would do if you could without any consequences? Probably cocaine. Sounds pretty fun. If Yang can't even pay his staff a livable wage, why should we trust him at all? Is that true? Can he not? I mean, what staff in what context? Because if we're talking about his political staff, I imagine that probably a lot of them are working on charity on some level. It's pretty expensive to run a campaign. Learned Matt says, God represents my interests, so I'll keep voting for the church being at the top of the state. Fair enough. I would still want a political system that would benefit the most amount of people, right? I want a political system that benefits me the most, ultimately. That's what I want. More than anything. If it happens to benefit everybody else, then great. Digi, what Destiny was trying to explain was basically that your approach to conclusions will result into what in stats is called overfitting, the production of an analysis that corresponds too closely or exactly to a particular set of data and may therefore fail to fit additional data or predict future conservations reliably. Nigga, what? How was what he was saying that? How did that have anything to do with what he was talking about? Also, my approach to conclusions won't lead to anything because it's not like I'm not like pushing people to fucking think the way I do or anything. Like I'm not out here saying, "Oh, everybody just believe what you think is right." Like, and not to mention that's not my stance. Again, the problem with the Destiny debate is that he was trying to make it into like a thing that's about like reality, and I was talking about semantics. That was the point of the debate. It was just a semantic philosophical debate. Digi, I'm worried your vitamin B6 and 12 intake isn't up to optimal level. You need to eat more avocados and soy milk to not a deficiency. I eat avocados pretty regularly because May makes avocado toast and shit and puts avocados in her meals. I also take vitamin D supplements, soy milk.
I mean, you eat soy milk like every time.
Yeah, you give me
smoothie.
smoothies
Like...
with soy milk in them. I'm getting plenty of vitamin D, dog.
Mushrooms too, vitamin D.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I might have to talk to you about sometime about economics. I'm not really free anytime in the near future, but LSD is apparently the best. I mean, I've done LSD. I've done acid.
DMT.
I haven't done DMT yet. I don't really consider LSD to be a hard drug. I done died to get lit again on DMT, huh? Fuck that lyric up. Alright, I'm getting bored. We're close to 3 hours.
Alright, I'm down to stop whenever. The spiciest Iron Games episode yet.
What's going to happen to IM Games post-move? I don't know. I mean, probably it will go on hiatus at the very least.
Yeah, we'll have to sit down and figure all that shit out.
Yeah, I mean, the current state of affairs seems to be, like, I'm going down on Thursday to look for houses. Tom is probably stuck in Massachusetts since he's probably going to need surgery.
Yeah.
So, his parents have said that they'll let him come back to their place, and given the circumstances, I don't know how long this saga will last, or how long you're going to be stuck. But, you know, I'm just going to get a place that works for me, and if we have space, and Tom wants to come down later, then maybe he can, or maybe he'll find a way to get a place down there anyways, if PCPHQ, because, like, since saying that we're going to Virginia Beach, it seems like Nate and Michelle are, like, possibly thinking about going down there. I have no fucking idea. So, like, if Nate comes to Boston, it might be better for Tom to stay here. If Nate comes down to Virginia Beach, it might be better for him to go there. I don't know. We don't know what opportunities are going to arise, who's living with who. I know Ben had offered that there was an open spot at Monkey House that you could possibly take if you wanted to live there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that costs, though.
More than I can afford right now.
I mean, if me and Nate got something set up down in Virginia Beach, if he came, it's possible that you and Ben could probably like go in on a apartment down there or something.
Yeah.
If you both wanted to come. There's a lot of possibilities. But as for the fate of IM Games, I mean, if me and Tom aren't living in the same place and doing the live stream together, it would be pretty difficult.
Right.
So, like, the nature of it as it is would certainly not survive.
We probably just have to focus more on the YouTube aspect of it at that point.
Right. And
Which isn't a bad idea, just in general.
yeah. This was overall, I would say IM Games was I would characterize it as an experiment.
Right.
And we got a lot of data out of it. So that if we were to, if we were to relaunch it at some point, I would probably change how we went about it, Like, for instance, if we're going to make streaming a major part of it, we have to stream more. And, for that to happen, we have to be in a circumstance where we can stream more. Which I will be once we've moved, because I won't need to make as much money, which means I won't have to make 91 rants a fucking month, So, the future is all up in the air. Didn't Ben hate living in Virginia Beach? He did, because Virginia Beach has no real public transit. And we lived way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere, so there's a chance he would just not be willing to come even if there was something set up there, but, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Digi keeps acting like he's going to Virginia Beach because it's cheap, but the actual reason is that he misses his family. My family is not even there anymore. My parents moved to LA. I mean, it will be good to be able to work with Victor, and Shade's not even technically in Virginia Beach. He's like an hour out now, so it'd still be a pain to go see him. But Vic would be a huge asset if I could work with him. But I like Virginia Beach because it's a place I know, and a place I know is good. Like, we were talking about moving to like the Southwest or something, but like we don't know anything about it, and it's a really scary move, particularly from the position we're in. Like, let's say that we go to Virginia Beach and we decide we don't want to live there long term. At the very least, we can take our sweet fucking time with like deliberating on where to go, because I'll be able to afford to take trips to places. Like, in the situation I am right now, like, we take a trip pretty much like when we can afford to, but like we're taking as many trips as we possibly could, like I don't want to take any more time away from work when I have to make so much money to live here, but like, if let's say my living expense is cut in half and we live somewhere that we're okay with, then yeah, I can travel once a month, fucking fly to Austin and actually look at what it's like. Fly to Tulsa and actually look at what it's like. And then make a determination, like, is there a city I'd rather live in long term, or is this fine? Like, and in the meanwhile also be able to build up different, different artistic things as well. Did your mom cure her cancer yet, or is that still happening? I mean, that was 8 years ago that she went into remission from cancer. Digibro saying Virginia Beach is good after years of shitting on it. This is the worst timeline. I don't remember shitting on Virginia Beach that bad. Like, I like Virginia Beach a lot. I always have. I used to write a bunch of stories. I had a magazine called the Virginia Beach Hermit Society. I had all kinds of VA beach pride. But my main problem with it is that it was not a place that was good to live as being a single shut-in NEET looking for companionship. As a place to live with like a partner and just go out and do things on the daily, it's way better than living in a place like this. I also just had a lot of misguided ideas about what a city is like. And coming to the city made me realize I hate living in the city. Not that we even really live in the city, per se, but... Is Virginia Beach literally just Beach City from Steven Universe? It's pretty close. They're similar, I guess. What's a good place to live as a single shut-in NEET? Next to a convenience store.
Very true.
Alright, we gotta wrap this shit up.
Alright.
Do you want to keep playing?
No, I got shit I gotta do.
Alright, peace out, everybody. I'm sorry that this was such a obnoxious political episode, but I had a good time.
We'll fix it on Thursday when we date ourselves.
Yeah.
Be the games you want to see.